Welcome back to Skytech-Lens. On November 3, 2025, Canada stunned the world by announcing a 25% tariff on U.S. vehicles that don't comply with the Canada-United States-Mexico Agreement, or CUSMA. This isn't just a policy tweak, it's a bold response to aggressive U.S. trade measures targeting Canadian goods, especially electric vehicles and heavy trucks. For decades, Canada and the U.S. have enjoyed deep economic integration, but this tariff marks a dramatic shift, drawing a new line in the sand. Ottawa's move is a defensive maneuver, aiming to protect its manufacturing sector and assert its sovereignty. The implications are huge: higher car prices, job uncertainty, and a challenge to the free trade consensus that has shaped global economics for years. Canada, often seen as a quiet partner, is stepping up with newfound assertiveness, forcing a re-evaluation of its relationship with the U.S. This decision sets a precedent for how nations might respond to rising protectionism. The world now waits to see if this bold gambit leads to resolution, or an all-out trade war. The U.S.-Canada auto sector has been a model of cross-border integration since the 1965 Auto Pact, with vehicles and parts flowing seamlessly between the two countries. This partnership supports hundreds of thousands of jobs and underpins nearly $2 billion in daily trade. But such deep integration also means vulnerability. A single tariff can disrupt entire supply chains, impacting jobs and production on both sides. Canada's new 25% tariff on non-compliant U.S. vehicles strikes at the heart of this partnership, challenging the very principles of the Auto Pact and CUSMA. For Canada, defending its auto industry is about economic security and national sovereignty. The sector is a cornerstone of Canadian manufacturing and exports. Any threat to it is seen as existential, demanding a strong response. The stakes have never been higher for North America's most vital industry. Canada's tariff is a direct response to a wave of U.S. protectionism in 2025, driven by a renewed America First agenda. The U.S. imposed new tariffs on Canadian goods, lumber, steel, dairy, and most critically, on Canadian-made vehicles and EV batteries. These moves were seen in Ottawa as attempts to undermine Canada's auto sector and force production south. The U.S. also offered tariff relief to its own automakers, pressuring them to build domestically. For Canada, this violated the spirit of CUSMA, which was meant to foster cooperation. With its EV industry under threat, Canada saw no choice but to respond forcefully. Diplomacy had failed. A tangible countermeasure was needed. The 25% tariff is Canada's message. It won't be pushed around. The goal is to restore balance and defend the principles of fair trade. The stakes are not just economic, they're about control over the future of North American industry. Canada's 25% tariff isn't a blanket measure. It targets U.S. vehicles that don't meet CUSMA's rules of origin. Vehicles assembled in the U.S. with enough North American content remain tariff-free. Those relying on more foreign parts, especially from Asia or Europe, get hit. This approach pressures U.S. automakers to invest in North American supply chains, including Canada's. It's a strategic move, not a trade war, but a calculated push for compliance and negotiation. The policy incentivizes automakers to play by the rules, while leaving the door open for de-escalation. Canada frames this as enforcing CUSMA, not breaking it. The ultimate aim? Bring the U.S. back to the table and reverse its aggressive tariffs. Ottawa is betting that economic pain for U.S. automakers will create pressure for a diplomatic solution. The tariff is both a shield and a bargaining chip. Mark Carney, former governor of the Bank of Canada and Bank of England, is the architect behind Canada's assertive response. Though not in cabinet, Carney's influence is clear. He's pushed for a proactive defense of Canada's economic sovereignty. The Carney doctrine calls for reciprocal firmness, strong, targeted countermeasures that keep diplomatic channels open. Carney argues that Canada can't afford to be a junior partner, especially in emerging sectors like electric vehicles. His strategy: defend Canada's future as a leader in advanced manufacturing, not just a supplier of raw materials. The 25% tariff embodies this doctrine, measured, legal, and designed to protect long-term prosperity. Carney's counsel marks a turning point. Canada is no longer prioritizing harmony at any cost. The message is clear. Canada will chart its own course and defend its place in the global economy. The 25% tariff will hit Canadian consumers first, with vehicle prices expected to jump by up to 10%. U.S. automakers must choose: absorb the cost or pass it on, risking lost sales in a key market. For the US, Canada is a critical export destination. These tariffs threaten billions in sales and could trigger job losses in American manufacturing hubs. The tightly woven North American supply chain faces disruption, with ripple effects for thousands of suppliers. Economists warn that a prolonged trade fight would hurt both economies, but the US may feel more pressure due to its reliance on Canadian exports. Canada's strategy is to target a politically sensitive sector, amplifying pressure on the White House. The hope economic pain will force a return to fairer trade. Canada accepts short-term pain for long-term gain. This is a high-stakes gamble in a geopolitical chess match. The outcome could reshape the future of North American industry. Canada's tariff has sparked strong reactions across the continent. In Canada, there's broad support. Many see it as a long-overdue stand for national sovereignty and economic dignity. Business leaders, though wary of disruption, back the move as a necessary defense against U.S. protectionism. In the U.S., automakers and industry groups are alarmed, warning of lost sales and jobs, and lobbying Washington to de-escalate. Economists see Canada's move as a textbook case of strategic retaliation, designed to inflict targeted pain and force negotiation. The dispute is a critical test of CUSMA and the future of managed trade in North America. Some analysts believe this could mark Canada's shift from passive rule-taker to assertive middle power. The world is watching to see if this gamble pays off. Canada's 25% tariff marks a turning point, not just for North America, but for global trade. The country is no longer a quiet partner, it's now an assertive player willing to use economic leverage. The future could go two ways: a damaging trade war, or a catalyst for renewed negotiation and a stronger, fairer agreement. Canada's gamble is that strength will bring the US back to the table. The world is watching. Can a middle power push back against a superpower without triggering disaster? The outcome will shape the next era of international commerce. Will it be defined by cooperation and respect, or by division and economic nationalism? The answer starts here, with a new line drawn in the sand. Thanks for watching. Subscribe the channel for more updates.